Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'll be showing you how to make an easy pot roast recipe. As usual, here are all the ingredients that you'll be needing. Feel free to modify this recipe to suit your preferences. First, we will be working out of a cast iron pot. Mine needs to be changed. My cast iron pan needs to be changed. But in a cast iron pan, add some olive oil and let the olive oil heat up. Here I have a beef roast cut and I seasoned this overnight with rosemary salt. I'll be linking the recipe to the rosemary salt around here somewhere, and some garlic powder, some pepper, and some onion powder. I will put the seasoned beef roast on the cast iron pan and let it cook for 5 minutes until it has been seared like this. So I would repeat this process for all sides of the meat. This is to lock in the seasoning and also to get a nice color and crisps on the meat, and you would see what it looks like by the time the meat is done. So I just repeat this process for each side of the meat. Sometimes I had to hold the meat down so that it doesn't fall off into the pan. Preheat the oven into 375 degrees Celsius, and in that same pan, using some beef broth, I would add 2 cups of beef broth to the pan. Now you can also use beef stock cube and add 2 cups of warm water to beef stock cube. That would also work if you don't have beef broth. So I will cover this with foil to kind of lock in the moisture and to bake the meat, retain the flavor, and create some steam in there. I'll take this back into the oven and bake it at 375 for an hour, 30 minutes. It could be longer depending on the kind of oven that you have. Next, I would go to my vegetables. As you can see, I'm just using vegetables available to me and leftover vegetables, but you can use any kind of vegetables you want. I'm just using some carrots, sweet potatoes, Irish potatoes, celery, bell pepper, and some onions, of course. So now I'll start chopping my vegetables. You want to get them, into semi-large chunks. You don't want it too small, but you also don't want it to be too big. That's the carrots. But for the potatoes, you can make this, even bigger cubes, as you can see now. This is because the carrots cooks quicker than the potato does, and so I'm trying to get an even texture all around. I bring out the meat after an hour, 30 minutes, and now I'll add my vegetables to the pot. And as I mentioned earlier, because the carrots cook faster than the potato does, I'll be adding my potatoes to my pan first, to the bottom of the pan first, because those take longer to cook. And to that, I'll add the rest of my vegetables, because those take a little longer those cook quicker, So I'll add all my vegetables into the pot, and I'll add some more chicken broth, about a cup of beef broth, beef broth, and I'll season that again with just a few, at this point you can season it with whatever you like, but I'm just balancing my flavors again by adding some pepper, garlic powder. You can go crazy with the garlic powder. Okay, add as much as you like because it gives really good flavor. If you have onion powder as well, you can add that. So I'll be adding a little salt. As you can see, the reason I'm not adding more seasoning to this is because of the rosemary salt. And if you watch that recipe, you would understand why, because the rosemary salt already has so much flavor. Okay, so that makes it so much easier. Of course, I add some rosemary, some thyme, and then I'll cover it again and put it in the oven for another 30 minutes. And after about 30 to 45 minutes, this is what it would look like. Oh my gosh, guys, look at this color. Isn't this picture perfect? And you don't, I mean, it tastes so good. You definitely want to try this because it tastes really, really great. It is hearty and flavorful. You see how soft the beef is. It just almost breaks apart. Okay, and this is the texture you want your beef to be. It literally needs to melt in your mouth. And at this point, we need a gravy to enjoy our beef with. And so I would begin the process of making a gravy, and I want to retain all this flavor in my gravy, so I'll be using the remainder of the beef stock to make my gravy. Into a bowl, take out your meat and set it aside. After you take out your meat, you want to also take out your vegetables and set those aside as well. And I'll show you how I do this. So I use a large spoon like this that has the colander holes, and I just take out the vegetable. And as you can see, the vegetables are cooked, but they're not soggy. Okay, so it's just right. And that's why if you layer it the way I mentioned earlier, you would get this result. I'll take out all the vegetables, but I'm not going to strain it any further because I'm fine with the herbs in it. I let that cook for a few minutes, bubble up, and then I'll mix a tablespoon of corn flour and some water, and I'll add that mix to my broth. And now I'll just turn it around quickly. I turn down the heat because I don't want it to curdle. I just want a silky sauce. So I'll continue to stir this until I get all the corn flour dissolved, and I have just a nice silky sauce. So you turn this for a few minutes in low heat, and this is the point when you want to start balancing your flavors if you have to. So I tasted it and it still needed a little bit of pepper, and so I added some white pepper, and that's because I mean, you know, I like a little bit of heat. Feel free to customize this recipe to suit you whichever way you like. At this point, you can add some butter if you want, but I'm fine with this. And that's it, guys. Let's feast. Look at this plate. Isn't this the perfect Christmas plate? And look at that gravy, really silky with a very rich flavor. And I'll pour some of the gravy on the beef, and I'll also pour some on my vegetables. And that's it, guys. Bon appetit. I hope you enjoyed this video. Until next time, please subscribe to my channel and have a great one, guys. Bye.